Mr. President, welcome to Wien.
Thank you very much.
You wanted to contest this election yourself, but you were barred from contesting, barred from running, and I understand you did not even vote in this election. In an earlier interview, you've said, and I'm quoting, that you will not participate in the election if the will of the millions of people is denied for no legitimate reason, like it has been in the past. Do you think that this new government under President Raisi represents the will of the people of Iran?
Everywhere, things are based on people and the energy that propels the country and takes it forward is the will of the people. And if people are not there, no positive development is going to occur. The governments are entitled to nothing but propelling and developing the will of the people.
I agree. And yet I repeat my question. Do you think that this new government represents the will of the people of Iran?
I made my reply.
What are the challenges, do you believe, that the Iranian leadership faces and should be their priority?
Right now, both the economic situation and social situation is in a dire one, and also relations with neighbors and international relations are facing serious challenges. And above all, the distrust and the public.
Distrust of whom?
Of the public.
Who do they not trust?
The people. They don't trust the managers and decision makers.
Of Iran?
The answer is clear.
So you're saying that the people of Iran do not trust the decision makers of the country. I'm assuming that means the government. The people of Iran are also protesting. We've been reporting on major crises unfolding in Iran, a serious water shortage, power cuts, people taking to the streets, and some of them have been fired upon by the security forces. What do you make of the situation?
The most important issue is the restoration of the national trust, which needs to occur.
How do you assess the impact of the pandemic on Iran, and do you think the government has done a good job in ensuring that the impact is minimal?
Unfortunately, the government's management of the pandemic has been very, very bad, and today we have public dissatisfaction because of this. I.e., above the COVID, the weak management has damaged Iran's economy.
Another developing story in the region is Afghanistan. Iran is trying to play the role of a mediator in Afghanistan. First of all, how do you assess the way things are going?
I think the situation in Afghanistan is both to the detriment of the Afghan nation and also to that of all the regional nations. Anybody who is willing to help should do their best to ensure that the will of the Afghan nation is implemented. And this is going to occur when the real representatives of the Afghan nation make the decisions. Agreement between groups does not bring about any peace, but rather it is a dividing of power. What brings about peace, tranquility, and security is the enforcement of the public will of the Afghan nation and their neighboring regional countries, and also ultra-regional states should not meddle in the issues and in the affairs, but they should help enforce the will of the Afghan people.
You said that neighbors should not meddle and enforce the will of the Afghan people. I want to know which neighbors, according to you, are meddling.
All of the neighbors.
Including Iran?
Yes, Iran, Pakistan, India, China, and the Persian Gulf countries, NATO, and Russia. None of them should meddle in the Afghan nation's affairs.
Do you think talking to the Taliban and striving towards this peace deal was a good idea, legitimizing the Taliban? When you say that the will of the Afghan people, some say that the Taliban are also Afghan people. Others say that the Taliban are not a legitimate entity, political entity.
The people of Afghanistan should elect their representatives, and none of these groups are the representatives of the people of Afghanistan. And this is only possible through a free election. If any group takes weapons and attacks and occupies some parts, cannot consider themselves the representative of the nation, and also and entitled to rights. If we accept this kind of logic, then we will be accepting that the entire world would always be unstable, and whoever is more violent would be dominant. Then rights and laws would be meaningless.
I agree. In an ideal world, there should be election, but the situation in Afghanistan is not conducive to holding an election, as you would be aware. Do you believe that the American withdrawal, and a botched-up withdrawal, as we've been calling it, has pushed Afghanistan towards another civil war?
If the US and others don't support the Taliban by providing weapons and also providing logistic, financial, and promotion-wise in regard to the Taliban, then the Taliban would not be able to endanger the security of Afghanistan. And if the Americans and others go away and keep out of this, problems would more quickly be resolved. I believe that the Americans have, in practice, not gone out of the region. And in fact, they have a new plot has been designed, and they are supporting the Taliban. And in the near future, the Taliban will resort to the slogan of the Great Khorasan and bring about war and conflicts to the entire region.
You're saying the Americans are supporting the Taliban?
It is definitely so. And in fact, the Taliban is part of the American plot.
What do you make of Pakistan's role? The government in Kabul has been accusing Pakistan of supporting Taliban terrorists as they try to take control of the territory.
What I said is addressing everybody. All those who are supporting the Taliban should know that if the Taliban is settled down and takes power, they would soon revolt against themselves and endanger their security.
Is that for Pakistan?
Yes, surely it is. Anybody in any part of the world who considers themselves as the basis and the symbol of a religion and tries to force upon others its will by weapons and arms is going to be a serious threat and danger to all nations and countries.
As President of Iran, you visited India and you pushed for what was called the peace pipeline. How do you see the relationship between Tehran and New Delhi as of today?
I think we belong to a joint cultural domain, and our areas for proximity are very, very much. So the volume of communications that we have today compared to our capacity and commonality is extremely small. And as a fundamental strategy, we need to do our best to ensure that we utilize the maximum available capacity. We love the people of India very much. When we travel to India, we feel we are at home. The people of India are extremely intimate. They are extremely lovely. They are so kind and also justice-seeking. And the cultural proximities are shared among the two nations and are very deep.
Do you believe the new administration is going to take forward ties with India?
I think it's a strategy that the two countries need to pursue, and there's no other way except this.
Under Hassan Rouhani, Iran made a major foreign policy shift, elevating its ties with Beijing. There was a $400 billion accord that was signed that dictates the roadmap of Iran's relationship with China for the next 25 years. Do you think that will have a bearing on Iran's relationships with other partners, including India?
In Iran, there's been a lot of debate over that contract, and it's ongoing. I think that the potential of cooperation between Iran and India is much more than what the capacity of the contract between Iran and China is now being discussed.
So how do you see this growing proximity with China?
In relationships, it is the basis that all nations and countries have relations with each other and utilize the maximum potential. But I believe that the capacity that exists between Iran and India is much higher than relationships with other countries.
Chinese investment in various countries has been met with skepticism and increasing debt. Do you think that's a threat that Iran should worry about?
As I said before, in any agreement, justice and respect should be observed, and the rights of the two parties should be balanced. Regarding the China deal, no clear information has been published in Iran, and that's why the Iranian people look at it with doubt.
Interesting. You're a politician, but you speak like a diplomat. Nonetheless, it was a pleasure talking to you, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. Thank you very much for being with us.
Please convey my warm and special greetings to the lovely people of India.
Vion is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.